Hello, everyone. So happy you all are here today. Welcome, welcome. We have almost 200 people on the call, so I know we'll have some more jumping in. We're so excited to have you and to welcome you to this new nomination season. I'm here with Clara, and we're going to be walking through all things nomination season for you. So everything from your renewals to helping other MIE experts and showcase schools advance. So continue to drop in where you are from. We love to see where you're all coming from, and we're so excited you're part of our program and that you have a passion to share Microsoft education tools with others. We have a full agenda today, so I'm going to hop right in. Welcome, of course, and then we'll get through some announcements and reminders for you. I'll be sharing about MIE expert nominations, and Sonia will probably jump in and say hi at some point over there. And then Clara will be sharing about Showcase School graduations and renewals. And then we'll talk a little bit about upcoming calls that you can invite other people for. And then, of course, as you have questions, please drop those in the Q&A section. We'll be monitoring that throughout. But we'll have, if we have extra time, we may not, but we'll spend some extra time at the end answering any additional questions that you have. So we don't run out of time, I will just continue. Perfect. So introducing us again, of course, Christina is behind the scenes. Sonia is our manager and director for education empowerment community. She'll jump on and say hi a bit later. And then, of course, we have the fabulous Claire, who manages Showcase Schools, and then me, who manages MIE experts. So we're so happy to support you all. We love, love, love this community. And we're so excited for another year. 2024, 2025 is just around the corner. So, of course, we have Teams channels that we want to remind you of, that these are areas that you can collaborate in. I'm sure many of you are already on these teams, and probably how you found out about this call besides emails and through our Facebook group. But we have these teams, and really what you put into it is what you get out of it. So we love to see all of you collaborating with each other. We have some amazing different regions around the world that we have available for you to collaborate in. So Clara jumped in and showed some of these. So if you're not part of one of your regional teams currently, definitely get plugged into one of those, reach out to your regional leads and see how you can get connected there. We're so happy to see all of you working together and collaborating, and we'd love to see you working in those teams. All right, so before we jump in, one of the main things we wanted to talk about today is responsible use of AI, because we know we've had quite a few issues with that in the past years. So we wanted to just clear everything up, make sure that it's all sorted for you, that you have a proper understanding of what proper use of AI is for nominations. So responsible and ethical use of AI will look different in nominations. So we do not want you to copy and paste over your ChatGPT Copilot responses. What we're looking for is personal responses from all of you. So here's some uses of responsible or ethical AI that you can use in your nomination. So one recommendation we would have for you is to summarize or shorten your responses. We'll talk about this a bit later, but we want your responses to be super succinct, not super lengthy. We don't want 5 paragraphs, 5 pages, just really short, so you can use Copilot for that. We would recommend you use it for brainstorming before you write your responses. And then you can also use it for research before you write your responses. We'll go over that in both Showcase School and MIE expert nominations. We have long form responses that you might want to do a little bit of research before actually writing out those responses. And then, of course, you can always use Copilot to rephrase your responses for clarity as well. So those are some examples of ethical and responsible uses of AI that you can use in your nominations. You'll see down there at the bottom that we are really picky about this because we had so many issues last year. We want your personal responses. We want to hear from you as educators, not from Copilot or ChatGPT or whatever AI tool you use. So we will be really picky about this. If we sense that these responses are AI generated, we cannot let you progress in the program. So just as a reminder, I know you all are experts and amazing, so we want to hear from you, and I trust that you guys will use AI responsibly and ethically in your nominations. All right, so we're going to walk through, first of all, MIE expert nominations. So just briefly, some details for you, what you've all been waiting for. The nomination period is open from May 15th to June 17th this year. And I want to give a few details about the brand new nominations. I know this call is for renewing and you all are a part of our program, but one thing we would love your help with is assisting those who are not currently in our programs to join. I know you have fabulous educators, fellow educators and friends that you would love to join our community, and we would love to have them. So just I won't go through all the questions for you, but some preliminary requirements for those that would like to join our programs is completing the 4 learning paths. So that's Microsoft Educator Academy, Master Microsoft Teams for any learning environment, 21 CLD, and brand new this year's AI for educators. And then the 3 parts of the new self-nomination survey consists of the About You section, score questions, and long-form questions. And you'll see up there at the top of this slide, we have the questions for you. And I'm sure Clara or Sonia can drop that in the chat for you as well. So you can view all of those questions and help to assist those who are not currently in our program. All right, so we're going to discuss, Sonia, do you want to jump on and discuss the examples of non-personal responses?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I am actually I'm on campus today with a bunch of people from the state of Washington who work for our superintendent's office, and we are doing a 2-day train the trainer on how to use AI in teaching and learning. So I'm super excited to be here. I just popped my head in the room and it's filled with like 60 really eager folks who support teachers all over the state of Washington. So it's a really cool initiative. And so I'm going to share everything I learned from this next 2 days. Well, I helped put it together, but just learning from them, because a lot of them are new to AI in education. But I thought I'd start with, what are examples of non-personal responses? And these are actual examples from last year. And so I thought I'm going to type a post here. I'm going to start a discussion and you can reply to this discussion. And I'm going to say, why aren't these personal? Why might I have not accepted these as responses? So there, I'm just posting this. So if you in your chat, hopefully you can see my post. And I want you to do a reply under it. So there's a little comment button. And I want you to read through these. And I'm going to do my teaching and wait. Read through these and take a look at why I didn't accept these, why Kaylee, Claire, and I thought these were not acceptable responses for how an educator is using Microsoft tools. And by the way, we have MIE experts that are professional development specialists or principals or assistant principals. And so when we say to increase accessibility for all learners, we mean whoever your learners are. If you're teaching teachers, then those are your learners. And classroom is just the space that you're teaching your learners. So I'm kind of waiting. I haven't seen any about, maybe you're just posting new comments. I haven't seen your reply to mine. Anyone? Anyone have any idea why these might not be accepted? Oh, there's a comment. Yay. Let's see. Perfect, Virginie. It's very general. Anybody else have something to say? Oh, there's another comment coming in. List of strategies, exactly, not real applications. Descriptions of the programs, exactly. So to me, this looks like somebody just pulled it off a website, which is probably what AI did. It looks like if I had a dictionary and I said, what do Microsoft tools do for education? And that was the definition. I don't need people to tell us what our tools do. We know what our tools do. We're very, very aware of what our tools do and what they're capable of. What we want to see is how is an MIE expert using the tool personally. And it doesn't need to be a long, lengthy answer. It needs to be to the point. It needs to be personal. And what was the thing that Jeff said last night, Kaylee? He said it's real.
Oh, I forget. Real,
real,
true,
short, yeah, to
concise.
the
Yeah.
point, to the point, and real and truthful. So just like it needs to be a personal story. Doesn't have to be super, super long. So that's all. Oh, look at all these great comments coming in. So yeah, it does read like a news report. Somebody else said it sounds like a marketer wrote these. It does. It sounds like something that belongs on a web page. So exactly right. All right, let's go on to the next one. And the next question was, remember how you had new MI experts have to put an artifact of learning? So it could be a form that the teachers showing what they learned. So like an exit form, if you're teaching teachers, it could be a PowerPoint or a OneNote that students put together. Just has to be an example of a product that the learners created. And the product needs to demonstrate 21 CLD. Then you have to talk about how 21 CLD was, at least one of the dimensions was put in. And so this person clearly labeled some 21 CLDs. They have communication, they have collaboration in there. Those are 21 CLDs. We only need one. We don't need to list all 6 dimensions. Pick one. And ideally, if you're talking about like, say, collaboration, you'd be saying, yeah, it's not written in the first person. That's a big key. I want all of these responses written in the first person, meaning I did this, I did that, my students did, my teachers that I work with did, something like that. So it's really important that you do that. Yeah. So another good non-example of why it's not personal, and no personal war stories. I love that. Like, it doesn't have to be a success. It could be like, I thought we were doing this and I discovered that I was hoping my students were doing substantive decision making, but they didn't. It can be an example of how you thought like you were doing something and it didn't come out that way. All I care about, all the 3 of us care about, is that it's a personal story demonstrating that you understand these concepts and you know how to use these tools. So awesome. So as you're coaching and as you're thinking of your own responses when we get to the renewal part, remember, same thing applies to the renewal responses. Personal, to the point, truthful, tell your story. All right, going on. All right, so here are the renewal questions. This is what all of you are going to be answering this year. And new this year is the requirement, because MIE expert has the word expert in it. It's our assumption that this year now, we've been a year into generative AI, that MIE experts need to understand how to use generative AI in an educational setting for personal use. You don't have to necessarily be using it with your students, but you should know how to use it to help you with your job. And so that's the first thing that you're going to have to put in, is the URL to your achievements. And I'll show how to do that in a little bit. And then there are the long form questions, and it's all the same questions you had to ask if you renewed a year ago. If you're not brand new this year, these are always the same questions. So it's, how do you share your learnings with your educators and school leaders? It could be that you send out a little monthly newsletter, could be that you post in Team site, could be that you do after school trainings. I don't care what it is. I just want to know that you're sharing your learnings. It doesn't have to be fancy. Don't tell me you set up a whatever, like, don't tell me that you presented or you had a blog. If you say you had a blog post, show me the link to the blog post. A lot of people last year gave me examples of how to share learning, but none of it was their examples. It was all just, again, like a dictionary list of ways to share learning. I'm like, I want to know how you shared. It doesn't have to be fancy. Just show me that you shared. What Microsofts do you use for collaboration? And for my colleagues see me as the go-to person, I just want a list. I want you to say, I'm an expert in Teams, Forms, OneNote, whatever, Minecraft, Flip, you name it, just a list. It could be one thing, it could be 5 things, it could be 2 things. I don't care, just a list. Because what we're looking for that reason, the reason we put that in is because we want to know who are our Teams experts out of our MI experts. I know there's a school in the UK, Danesfield, where they actually require each one of their teachers to be an expert in one tool. And I love that idea. So all of you are an expert, at least in one of our, and by the way, should be Microsoft tools. I don't care if you're an expert in things that aren't Microsoft. This is the Microsoft Innovative Educator Expert. I'm expert in a lot of other tools that aren't Microsoft, but I don't need to know about those for this nomination. And then share a story how you supported someone in the area. Last year, I saw a lot of folks that had a colleague, let's call her Sarah, and Sarah had a problem with, it could have been Forms, it could have been PowerPoint. So first the person set up a one-on-one and then they sat through and went through how to use and word for word, it was almost the same story with the same colleague, let's call her Sarah. And it was quite obvious that someone had used AI to build a lot of people. And I want to say there was probably 300 people that responded to that almost identically. And so we do have flags in our nomination tool to help to say, hey, these are looking suspiciously a lot alike. We want you to work together, but your story, my story isn't Kaylee's story. And Kaylee's story isn't Clara's story. And Clara's story is not my story. We can sit down and talk and we can put our words together, but my story should be mine. And Clara and Kaylee might give me feedback. Hey, Sonia, remember when you did this? So that's that. And then how did you give back to the MI expert in the last 12 months? Did you post in our team site? Did you post in our Facebook group? Did you hold, if you're a fellow, did you hold a community call? Just whatever. Like, we want people to actually contribute, because what makes this community really special is that people share with each other and people support each other. I love it when I see somebody ask for help in either Teams or Facebook, and I see everybody responding to help. I think that's one of my favorite things. It just warms my heart to know that you guys are there for each other. And then tell me about how you're going to engage the community next year, in the next 12 months. And then the new piece for this year that's never been asked before, because last year had just come out and I didn't expect people to be using it yet, is Harold share a personal example of how you use generative AI to help you in your work. What did you do? How did it help you? And what did you learn? And so my personal story would be, I was asked to deliver a breakout session for a conference, and I knew I wanted to do it on embracing failure and grit and resilience. So I began by asking Generative Copilot to generate a 10-sentence description of what a conference session on that would look like. I then took that description and I modified it to meet what I really wanted to talk about. And then I asked Copilot to put together a 40-minute outline of what that presentation would look like. Copilot gave me an outline. I pick and chose from that what I wanted to do. And then I spent the time and effort building out each of those pieces with my own stories, with my own knowledge. And that's how I use Copilot. And I learned that Copilot is a really great, co-writer, someone to help me brainstorm, someone to help me put my words together when they're in my head, but I can't get them out on paper. So that's my personal story. So I just want something like that. Maybe you used it to create a rubric. Tell me how you learned to make a rubric. I'd love to learn that. Maybe we should try, Kaylee and Claire, to use Copilot to make a rubric for these questions. Anyway, so I think that's just kind of what I wanted to talk about. So those are what you have to work on. And so Kaylee, let's go ahead and put that aka.ms renewal questions in there. And I suggest that right now, all of you download this Word document and start responding to these now. Take your time, and I want to see when May 15th comes and we open the nomination, then it should take you no time at all to put that information in, and off you go.
Perfect. Claire has that pinned at the top of the chat. So you can
Awesome.
find those. The new questions and the renewal questions are right there for you to download.
All right, let's go on. This is exciting news. We are building a brand new nomination tool. This is going to replace EventCore fully, and it's our own tool built on Azure using Power Forms and stuff like that, Power Platform. And once we're going to hopefully move all of your current data into the new system, and then you'll get an email telling you how to connect yourself to your data. And so it knows that you're currently an MIE expert. And what's really, really, really awesome about this is for the new folks, there's checkpoints. So if, as you, well, you didn't Kaylee didn't take you through that form for those new questions, but if you look at those new questions, it says checkpoint 1, checkpoint 2, checkpoint 3. And what it does is the first checkpoint is after you fill out this is a new nomination. After a new person fills out their personal information, they're asked to put the achievement URL, and the tool will check that it's a valid URL, and it will check that it'll scrape the achievements page, making sure that they completed those learning paths. So I'm really excited about that. It won't let them go on if they haven't completed the learning paths. If they haven't, it'll say you need to complete these learning paths and then come back. Then once they do that, then the next set of questions will open to them. And the next set of questions are basically, it's a grid that says how often are you using a variety of tools. And there's, I don't know, like 6 or 7 different tools listed there, maybe 8. And what we're looking for is that at least 2 or 3 of them are being used daily or weekly. And then there's a question about how often do you share your knowledge? And we're looking that MIE experts are sharing daily, weekly, or monthly. So if they don't, and this is self-reported, we want people to be truthful. I'm not expecting someone to be an expert or it's ridiculous to think that a teacher's using Minecraft every day. Or, whatever, like you don't typically, Teams is one of the few tools that you might use every day, or OneNote is something you'd use every day. The others might be weekly or monthly or whatever. So that's important. And then if they are, what was I going to say, at that base level, then the next set of quiz questions will open. And the quiz questions are then the questions that are like about our tools, and they're at the bottom of that Word document are a ton of resources, and all the answers can be found in those resources. So we really want new MIE experts to, again, download that Word document, start working on it. We know that there's lots of people that are at Google schools or Apple schools, but maybe they're using Flip and Minecraft. We still want them to be in the program, but to be in our program, you still need to understand our tools, even if you're not using them. So that's why those quiz questions, we only want about 60% correctness. I mean, if you have more, that's great. And then once you've hit that threshold, then the long form answers open up. So what's awesome is someone gets to the long form answers. That means everything else is at the level we expect it. And then we just review the long form answers at the very end. Claire, I think you said there were some questions.
Yeah, let me just jump on screen and I'll answer a couple of them. So there's just a couple of questions that have come up in the chat. I'm sure Kaylee will talk a little bit about these in the helpful hints. One of them is saying the window is quite short. So but that's why we're sharing the questions with you now. So we're sharing the questions with you now so that you've got time to prepare your artifact. You've got time to prepare the long form answers so that when it comes to the window, all you've got to do is copy and paste because you've got the link ready. Yeah. You've got all your resources ready. So you're just copying and paste it in. So hopefully that's why we've decided
the window's actually open now. You just can't fill out the nomination. So think about it. The window's opening now. You just can't put it in the tool until May 15th.
Yeah. And the other question was about submitting in your own language, which I know Kaylee is going to refer to in a moment.
Please do. We want people to write in their preferred and most comfortable language. Most people, it's hard. I speak French, but answering these questions in French would be difficult for me, and I wouldn't be able to express myself at the level I can when I do it in English. And fortunately, our nomination tool translates for us. So you can write in your preferred language, and we'll see it in English, and it'll be enough to tell us that you're expert or not. All right, Kaylee, back to you.
Perfect. There you go. All right, so we have some helpful hints for you. We commonly see certain mistakes being repeated during nomination season pretty much every year. Especially last year, we made notes of a few things that really hindered our MIE experts from progressing in the program. And so I wanted to remind you of these helpful hints, and I will actually be posting this on our social media on Facebook and then in Teams as well as a reminder. So you can share this, and we want to set you up for success. So don't write lengthy responses. This is a big one, especially for you all as renewals. Most of your questions are long form questions, but we don't want 5 5-page essays. We don't want 5-paragraph essays. We really want a short 1-paragraph essay, maybe a response. And keep in mind that the minimum count is characters, not word count. So it's a minimum of 500 characters that we're looking for. Really just a short response that we can quickly scan over and read and understand what you're saying, but not something in depth. So that's one thing to note. Also, we do not want AI generated responses as we've already said. We want your personal response, especially for you all as we're we can't access your links, we cannot let you progress in the program. So that's really important. I know Clara will showcase that a little bit later as well. But please check your links in an in-private browser to make sure that they're working and that we can access them. A few other notes, as Sonia was talking about, we do request that you just write in your preferred language. We will do the translation work, and it's easier for you and it's easier for us. So
Kayla, I think your Wi-Fi is not behaving.
I can jump in.
Right.
So we're just talking through the do's and don'ts of our MIEs. So Kaylee was just talking through about writing succinct answers and about making sure that your links are open links, that they're accessible to everybody. And as she said, when I go through the Showcase School, I'll just quickly demonstrate how you can make sure that that's the case. We've already talked about your own language. So the new tool that we're developing will translate for us. So whatever language you submit your application in, we will get the translation into our language. So please do submit your response in your language. There's no need to utilize Copilot to translate. Please just submit in your language and we will do the rest at our end. So do check that all of your learning path badges are represented. Sonia's going to talk through that in a second, how you can check that all your learning paths are there. And then talk to your fellow educators about helping you to share ideas about what you're going to do, to check your links, to review your responses. But every response must be unique. So please work together to develop your personal response, but make sure that your response relates to you. Please do not submit the same response as another educator in your school. That's another thing that we will be using the tools to check. We want to learn about what you can do. You're doing amazing stuff and we want to know that. So if you're doing something different to the person next to you, then share that. That's yours to share. So yeah, work together, but submit your own response, please. I think I hammered that point enough. Okay, Kaylee, I think you've still got power of the deck. So do you want to just flick to the next slide and for Sonia, and then I'll take over from there.
Awesome. So also most of the long form questions are 500 characters, not words, characters. 500 characters is enough to get enough detail, and 2,000 is the most. And that's about I would say 2,000 is about 4, like maybe 5 sentences, like a paragraph. 2,000 is like, or 500 is maybe two sentences. So practice it, use word count on, if you use Word, practice writing your answer out and then use word count to count the characters. And we said characters because in other languages, they don't necessarily have words. They have characters. So how to check for badges and trophies. So when you're on Learn, you can go into your profile by clicking your little photo and you click profile, and then on the left side, you'll see achievements. And what most people don't realize is that there are 4 places to find your achievements. There's the modules, which is where you get your badges, learning paths, which award you the trophies. And then there's, it's so small, I can't even see it. Courses, which are when you attend in person, and other is where you'd find your any other badge. And so the advanced educator badge shows up there because it's awarded based on completion of 3 different learning paths. So when we're scraping, when our tool scrapes your achievement page, it's just looking for those trophies. So for new people, it's looking for those 4 trophies. For you guys, it's just going to look for the AI for Educators Trophy. If you have those others, that's great. We hope you do. And if you were new this year, you would have all 3 of them. Those that have been in the program for a long time, you may not have all of those, but so that's really important. All right, going on to the next thing is Clara.
Yeah, I think it is me. So let me jump on screen, and then I'm just going to take over the screen share, which hopefully won't look any different to people who are watching, but it means that I am in control, which I always like. So hopefully that is coming through. Just wait. It says you're sharing a screen now. So I presume I'm sharing my screen now. We're using Town Hall today, so we're still learning how Town Hall works a little bit. So yes, I'm going to talk through Shoko Schools. I'm going to talk through the renewal process mainly, but the graduation process is not that different at all. I'm just going to close the Q&A, so I'll leave that to Kaylee and Sonia, but I have posted all the links that I'm going to make reference to, and I've pinned them at the top of the Q&A. So whenever I make reference to a link, you can jump in and have a look. Okay, so let's go straight in. So the criteria for 2025 have not changed that much, but we have revamped what they look like. So you will recognize the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're the same as what you've been looking at all along. Some of you might have a link for 2024. It still takes you to this same page. But I just want to highlight the 2 quantitative sections in here, the culture of learning growth and the Microsoft Solutions impact. So first of all, we have got 60% of educators and leaders have got a Microsoft Learn profile, 10% are Microsoft Advanced educators, and 3% are MIE experts. So those are your criteria to become a Showcase school. There shouldn't be any surprises there. We are going to still ask in the survey about MCEs, and so we really look forward to seeing how many of your educators have achieved an MCE. If that's a really big barrier for you, then that isn't going to stop you from what's the word I'm looking for, graduating or renewing as a Showcase school, but we're still really interested in how many MCEs that you've got. And I'm going to talk through the voucher process later on in the call as well. So that's the culture of learning and growth section. And I'll show you how to submit evidence for that in a minute. And then we've got the Microsoft Solutions impact. So it's understandable that a Showcase school is one that utilizes Microsoft tools in their everyday working all the time with everybody. So to demonstrate that, we're looking for 60% of learners, educators and staff using Teams regularly, 90% of learners and educators using Office 365, and 60% of all devices are Windows 10 and 11. That's at least. So if you've got everybody using Office 365, then just put down that you've got everybody using Office 365. So we're looking for at least that. And obviously you might have some other devices in your schools, but we're looking for 60% of those devices to be Windows 10 or 11. So we're looking forward to seeing all of the evidence towards all of those areas. So how do you submit that evidence and when? So the Showcase School window, so the window when you can actually submit your application, backs straight on to the MIE window. So it opens on June 17th, which is when the MIE closes, and it will continue until July 1st. Again, it's quite a short window, which is why we're sharing all of the details with you now, so that when when this window actually opens, all you need to do is copy and paste everything in because you've already prepared it. So graduation and renewal applications will both require a SWAY and an application survey. So previously we have accepted video applications, but we really want to facilitate you and your schools applying in your home language and enabling us to be able to see that evidence in our language. So if it's a video, then we're not able to translate it at our end. So what we're saying is that if you submit a SWAY, you can submit that in your home language and then we can translate it when we see it. To make that much easier for you, we have created 2 Sway templates. So I'm just going to jump out of the presentation and jump into the Sway templates now. So the first Sway template I'm going to go through is the renewal template. The graduation one is very similar. And again, the AKA for this is in the Q&A. So first part of the template is you being able to put in your details of your school, how you've continued to showcase your transformation over the past year. So if you're renewing, make sure that your evidence relates to the previous year and not any years before. Then how you further developed as a showcase school, and then all the sections of the rubric. So there are 5 sections of the showcase school rubric, and a showcase school needs to be advancing or leading in all of those levels. So what the Sway template enables you to do is to delete the card that doesn't apply to you. So if you're advancing, then you just delete the leading card, and then you explain through evidence, so through text and images and videos perhaps, about how you are advancing in that area. Then culture of learning and growth, same thing, delete the card that doesn't apply, add your evidence. All the way through all those rubric areas, deleting the cards and adding your evidence. Quantitative criteria. I'm just going to pause here and I'm just going to zoom in slightly. So I want to highlight this bit here. It's not going to let me zoom in. There we go. So in the quantitative criteria here, we've got the total number of educators, and then you've got the educators that have got a Learn profile, the educators that are Microsoft Advanced educators, and then the MIE experts. We're very conscious that the Showcase School application window backs straight onto MIE experts. So what we're asking for is the number of educators that were MIE experts last year and have applied to renew, and the number of experts that have applied for the first time. And then we will do the calculations about the percentages behind the scenes. Okay, so that's all in there. Then we've got the personalized learning and growth, again, utilizing Sway to delete the bits that aren't relevant to you and add in your evidence. Moving all the way through, you can see there's lots of space for you to complete what you need. Moving all the way down through to the final criteria 6, where again, you can add your quantitative details here, and you can do screenshots of your Teams usage data from your admin center, etc. in there. So you can use your admin center to get all that evidence of your Teams usage and your device usage, and you could add those as cards. Just going to jump back into the presentation. So the survey questions will consist of 4 sections. Just like the MIE questions, we're going to utilize our new tools capability to have checkpoints. So the questions for Showcase Schools are the same as they've always been, but I've just rearranged them to enable the checkpoints to work. So section 1 about your school college, that's the same details as you've put in the Sway. Section 2 is the rubric criteria. So that's your advancing or leading. So in all of those areas, schools must select advancing or leading in all of those in order to progress to section 3. Section 3 is criteria 2 and 6, with the quantitative criteria for your educators' qualifications and your device usage. And again, if that doesn't meet the criteria, then applicants will not be able to progress. And then section 4 is about your digital transformation journey. So I'll just jump into those questions really quickly. And that's going to go
I've been
here.
answering tons of questions. And so I think I've answered most of the questions that are in the chat.
Okay, I'll just run through the actual application questions, and then I'll take a look at the Q&A. So these are the questions. The AKAs for these are available in the chat. So the link to the template is there. If you're not sure about using the template, then there's the minimum kind of things that you need to include in your own Sway. Then the hints and tips, and then the questions. So there's your section 1. Your section 2, and again, just like MIEs, we're not here to trip you up. So I will include, well, we have included the criteria in the question, so it reminds you that you need to be advancing or leading. If you click the wrong thing by mistake and it says that you can't progress, then you will have a couple of chances to be able to just go back and amend, and then we'll have the Sway with the evidence that backs those up. Then it moves on to number 3, couple of questions here, all about your device usage. You can see that it does ask for MCEs. So although that's not a requirement, it's a recommendation, and we will sort of extra bonus points if you've got MCEs. We know some of you are really keen to get those, and it is a really fantastic qualification. So we're still going to ask that, and we're still keen to find out how many schools are interested in their educators achieving that. And then the team's usage, and then a bit more details at the end. These long form answers will have character limits as well. So just kind of keep an eye out for what those character limits are when we get to that stage. How are we doing for time? Fantastic. I've got quicker every time I've done this. Okay, so a bit more details about the sway. So I know some of you submitted applications using videos before, so we're really keen to help you with your sway. So the first thing that you need to do when you open the template is to sign in, click on the 3 dots and click duplicate the sway. At that point, it will invite you to rename it. So rename it with your school name, and you can replace template with application or something equivalent. That will be the name that will appear at the top of the sway. Then you click duplicate, and then you can click edit it now. I've put a link here. If Kaylee or Sonia could just put the support article for Sway into the Q&A, please. So if you've never used Sway before, this is your opportunity to learn a new Microsoft tool, and then you can declare that you use the Microsoft tool in your MIE application. So just learn how to use Sway, please. And if you do want to translate the Sway template into your language, just right-click, translate, and it will work for you. Earlier in the call, we were quite clear and specific about the importance of your links and checking that your links work. It's really upsetting for us knowing that when we click on a link and it doesn't work, that there's loads of evidence behind that link and we can't see it. So when you are in your Sway, and you're in the design or the storyline, if you head to the top right to share, it will default to those in your organization. We are not in your organization. So if you leave it as that, we will not be able to see it. It just comes up with a green screen that says sign in. And if that comes up, unfortunately, we cannot accept your application, because if we can't view the evidence, then we cannot accept your application. So please do these 2 things. Change it to anyone with a link and click copy, and then paste that link into an in private browser. So if you're using Edge browser, you click on the 3 dots and you click new in private window. So you can paste your link in there. This is a window that's not signed into anything. So it replicates what it would be like for us. So you paste your Sway link into there. If it works, perfect, paste it into the application. If it says please sign in, then you need to head back to your Sway and just click and adjust the link as I've shown there. Or send the link to somebody else and ask them to check it, someone who's not in your organization. So then you can have that link ready to paste in there. And so please take these Sway links, take the question links, and start to prepare your applications now. These Sways do take a while to populate because we want to know the evidence, we want screenshots, we want photos of your schools with students using devices and all of those things. So you can share a collaborate link so that people can populate different sections of the Sway, and then you can share it with us. So do start to do that straight after this call. Get ready, duplicate, and off you go. So summary about Showcase School applications. I've shared all of these useful AKAs in the Q&A, but a summary of what I've talked about. Please use the Sway template. Check that your data meets the criteria. Include up-to-date evidence. So particularly for renewals, it's important that your evidence is from the previous year. We understand that lots of schools did amazing things during the pandemic, changing to remote learning, those sorts of things, but that's no longer relevant to your current Showcase School application. So what have you done in the previous year as a Showcase School or as an incubator school? That means that you're up to date and ready to go. Please complete all of the questions. Again, incomplete applications may not fulfill the criteria and there might not be enough evidence. So please make sure that you complete all the questions. And also check that the data entries are in the correct format. So some of the questions are asking for percentage of educators, other questions are asking for the number of educators. So please do pay attention to that really carefully. And finally, you can submit your application and survey responses in your native language. We will translate them. If it's a SWAY, we can translate it. Okay, so if you do want to submit in your own language, that's even more reason to use the SWAY template. And collaborate with each other to check the links and review your responses. Okay, before I go on to vouchers, is there anything in the Q&A that I need to pay attention to? Let's have a look.
There's a question about Sway links being accessible.
Yeah, so if you follow the directions, so if I just demonstrate that one more time. So when you are in the Sway, so you're going to click on here, you're going to click duplicate, you're going to rename it with your school. You're going to duplicate the Sway, and when that's duplicated, then we're going to copy the link. I will run through that again because I know that it was a bit of a barrier. So once you're in your Sway, then you can use the storyline to edit all of the information, and you can use the design to check what it looks like. So then you click share, change it from those in your organization to anyone with a link, and click copy. Then you paste that link into the application tool when it's ready. So the key thing is to change it from those in your organization to anyone with the link, and then click copy, and that should be absolutely fine from there. Thank you for that. So what I'm going to do, so thank you, Christine. Christine has pointed out that some schools don't allow in private browsers, so you can send the link to yourself and check it using a personal account. But please do check that link, or
your phone,
send it, or use your phone or something like that to be able to check it. Thank you. Okay, so if you are interested in MCEs or other Microsoft qualifications, then you can request vouchers. So current MIE experts can request 2 vouchers, and current showcase or incubator schools can request 5. So if a school's got 8 MIEs, then you could get 16 vouchers. And if you're an incubator school as well, then you can get an additional 5 vouchers. And then those MIEs can use them, and other educators within the school. So this is the process here. And this process is also detailed in the Showcase School Quick Start Guide. And there's a link for that in the Q&A, so you can check it there. So you just need to email George with this information: name of school leader, etc. But please do be aware that if you're a government funded school, then it might take a little bit longer to process those vouchers, because it's a gift from Microsoft, and so we have to do a little internal gifting process, because it's a financial gift from Microsoft to your school. So we just have to do that internal process. If you're not government funded, we can just send the vouchers through and it's a bit quicker, but please do bear with us. But you've got a direct email there. That is unless there is already a process in your region. So for example, in the UK, there is already an existing process via a member of the Microsoft team. So if you are aware of an existing process, do that. If not, then you can do this one here. And these are the qualifications that you can use the vouchers for. And I think that is everything about Showcase Schools. So I will move on to upcoming calls. So we are currently here. This is where we are. If you want to see this call again, then you can come to the option B call, which we're running at 5 p.m, which will be midnight for me. So yay. But you're all here, so hopefully you won't need to come again. But if you did, or if there's people in your schools that have missed this one and they want to come to another live one, then that one is there. What we really want to advertise with you, and we want your support in advertising, is our call for new MIE experts and also a bit more for incubator schools. So today's been a bit more about showcase renewals, although it's very similar for graduates. So if you are an incubator school, that all still applies to you. But we haven't gone through in detail the new MIE expert process. And those of you who are already in the program will know it's a bit more lengthy. There's a few more questions when you apply for the first time. So please do support us in reposting our social posts that we're going to put out, sharing with colleagues in your school who want to become MIE experts for the first time, that we have a call on April 24th or 25th, depending on your time zone. And all of the details of that are currently in the community, in the Teams communities, and we will post them on socials as well. So get that date in your diary. It will be the same times, 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. And most of the world who goes into daylight saving will have joined Pacific by that point as well. So it should align nicely. Anything else to add on upcoming calls? I think that's everything. Which, believe it or not, does leave 10 minutes for Q&A. We've not managed to get time for Q&A previously, so do please post any questions or thoughts that you have in the chat. These are really useful for us because we're still in the final stages of developing our application tool. So if there are things that you're concerned about, things that you're worried about, please do shout up so that we can answer those questions. I can see there's one saying, are the vouchers per year or per person? So that's a really great question. The vouchers expire on July 1st, and the number of vouchers you're entitled to request is dependent on how many MIE experts you have, but that MIE expert doesn't have to use the voucher. It has to be somebody in your school. So you have to use the vouchers for the school, but it might be that an MIE expert has already got MCE. They apply for 2 vouchers and they are used by somebody else in the school, but you must take the exam by July 1st. Lots of people saying thank you. It's lovely to hear that as well. We do quite a lot of work behind the scenes. There's only 3 of us really. So it's nice to get those thank yous. I'm not begging for them, but it is nice to see them. You're such a fantastic community and we want to do everything that we can to support you. We've said throughout this call that we want you to be successful. We want MIE experts to be successful. And although we haven't shown the new MIE expert questions, all of the answers to the MIE expert questions are in links at the bottom of the document, so you can have a look at the new questions and you can see that it's all there. We're really trying to help you, and you can use the community as well. So ask questions in the community, ask for support. If you feel like you're on your own applying, there's not many people that you can collaborate with, come into the community, you know, and say, please, can you help me? So that's really great. There's somebody who's asked about vouchers in Mexico. The vouchers are available globally, so just email George, and he and our other colleague Natasha will support you in getting those vouchers. And then there are various ways and means of you taking the exams. So yeah, that's fantastic. Any other questions coming in? Please outline the changes to MIE, the advanced educator criteria. There are a couple of modules in the Microsoft Advanced Educator that have changed. So if people are taking the MIE for the first time, then they might find that there is some content in there. In terms of clarifying whether people who've currently got the MAE need to renew that, that's something that we'll confirm via the teams later on. So if you know that you've got Microsoft Advanced Educator badge already, but you're aware that the content has changed, just hold fire for the moment and we'll confirm whether you actually need to do that again. And we'll let you know. But people who are taking it new for the first time might find that the courses have been slightly updated. So that's that one. One other thing, if you're applying to graduate as a showcase school, then it's really important that you are already an incubator. So you can't just apply to graduate off the back. You have to be an incubator already. So just get an incubator application in now nice and quickly, and then we can make sure that you're getting all the communications for that. Okay, back to...
Oop, you went on mute.
So Kaylee, do you want to wrap up, or Sonia?
Yeah, I'm just like busy responding. So many great questions. Real quick, one question that I get a lot, and this came up, is if you switch jobs, how do you get your Learn achievements back? Well, you can't. So it's really, really important when you set up your profile on Learn that you also attach it to a personal email. And I'm going to show you that. I think I'll just share my screen really fast to do this. So let me go here and I'm going to go share. I'm going to share this. Here we go. So here I am in Learn. And here's my profile. You can see it's attached to my Microsoft email. If I leave Microsoft and I haven't connected this also to a personal account, I will lose everything because Microsoft is going to delete my email. So you go into settings, and then you can go into account management. And this is where you can link accounts. And you can see I've linked 2 other accounts. I've linked my Hotmail, and my Hotmail is also connected to my certification profile because when I pass certifications, I want those to come with me. I don't want them to be attached to my Microsoft.com email. So it's super important that you connect a personal account right here to your email. That way, like if I leave Microsoft, I still get all my badges. I still get all my trophies. If I haven't done this, then I'm out of luck once Microsoft gets rid of my email. So I can't state the importance of that enough. So again, that's under your profile and Learn and settings and account management. All right. Anything else?
It's just somebody who's saying that they've tried to steer clear of generative AI because they were concerned about its reliability. So I would suggest that you explore ways of rephrasing content, etc. And do take a look at Copilot, because the protected Copilot through Bing, do your research. It is protected when you leave the conversation. It doesn't store your information. So if you're concerned about using generative AI, then Copilot is your friend. So do some research about Copilot. It's certainly one of the, well, it's protected, whereas some of the other ones potentially aren't. So,
yeah, maybe I'll go back to sharing my screen again, because if you aren't familiar, it's really important as experts, you are familiar with generative AI. It's out there. It's not going back in the hole. It's going to get, like a year ago, we weren't where we are today. And it's like, imagine where we're going to be in 3 years from now. We don't even know. So I can't recommend enough that to become an MIE expert, you need to be an expert in how to use generative AI responsibly. It's our job as educators to ensure that our students and our colleagues are learning how to use it responsibly. And so, where did I just put my Learn? Shoot. I'm on one screen, and when I'm on one screen, it's really hard for me. Okay, so we're going to window. And this is it. Now, where'd it go? I'll share screen. All right. So it's not that. Back here. Here I am. Okay, so back into Learn. If you go to Discover and Training, Educator Center, Professional Development, AI for Education. All of you should be very familiar. I highly recommend that all of you are very familiar with everything that's on this page. This is the learning path. So if you're not familiar with how to use generative AI, that's why I'm making this a requirement for everybody. Like, you need to be familiar with it. So here's the learning path. It's a great learning path. I highly recommend it. And then the other thing that's really great is this AI Classroom Toolkit. And if you download it, this is for using with kids ages 13 to 15. And this AI toolkit, I actually use it a lot. So I'm just going to jump into it. It's going to come in a bunch of other languages. Right now it's in US English and UK English. So they're in the middle of translating it in a lot of other languages. So I just want to show you this. This is a slide deck for using with students, but I want to show you my favorite. It talks, if you're new to using generative AI, I would go through this deck. It's made for kids, but it's really like, I love this deck, and talks what large language models are, how to use stuff, and then what a search is versus a prompt. That's super important. How to engineer a prompt. And then this is my favorite. And I actually suggest to people to print out this slide, slide 14, and like tape it on the wall, because this really helps you know how to build a prompt. And learning how to prompt takes practice. It's a skill that you have to learn, and you have to retry and try again and try again. But this will really help you with how to prompt. And it's super important that as educators, we do realize that sometimes AI can make things up. And so we need to use critical thinking. And a lot of times I'll even ask AI to cite sources. I'll say, give me the citations for this statement that prove the statement's true. And then I make sure those sources actually exist. So it's a great, I think AI is really going to help people with critical thinking if they know how to look at the responses and think about those. All right. I think we're over time now, so.
Yeah, one thing as we wrap up, I want to note we will share the call recording after the call tomorrow. We'll share that in the Teams. So make sure you're in our Teams. We'll share the OneNotes for Showcase School and MIE where you'll have all these details. And I'll even work on getting some social graphics ready for you all that I'll post in Teams so you can share about that April call. So we'll get some special assets for you, and yeah, so you can share out the word. And thank you for your support. And we're excited to have you join our community next year as well.
Yeah. And thanks, Melanie. There is a webinar next week that's powered by us. It's with our partnership with Education Plus, and it's using our content, and Becky Keene is delivering it. So I highly recommend registering for that on March 27th. And if you don't watch it live, you can always have the recording. It's a great way to learn AI too. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your day.